I'll never forget the moment his mother leaned in close at the wedding, her perfume suffocating, her voice dripping with disdain as she whispered, "You don't belong here, dear." The entire room seemed to blur around me. My ex-fiancé stood at the altar, pretending I didn't exist. His new bride smiled, oblivious. But when they called my name to take the stage, everything changed. His face went pale. His mother's smug expression shattered. And suddenly, everyone realized exactly who didn't belong. I never thought I'd set foot in that ballroom again. 5 years earlier, I'd walked those same marble floors as a struggling music student, working part-time as a server at fancy events just to pay my tuition. That's actually how I met him, Marcus. He was a groomsman at some corporate wedding, charming and confident in his tailored suit, and I was the girl carrying trays of champagne, trying not to trip over my own feet. He approached me during a break, complimented my smile, asked for my number. I should have known better. I should have seen the signs. But I was young, hopeful, and stupid enough to believe that love could bridge any gap. We dated for 3 years. 3 years of me trying to fit into his world while he barely acknowledged mine. His family came from old money, the kind that whispers rather than shouts, the kind that measures your worth by your last name and your zip code. My family? We were good people, hardworking, but we didn't summer in the Hamptons or winter in Aspen. My mom was a nurse. My dad drove trucks. I paid for college with loans and scholarships, and those serving jobs that left my feet aching and my pride bruised. Marcus's mother, Patricia, made sure I never forgot where I came from. She had this way of smiling at me that never reached her eyes, asking questions designed to remind me I was beneath them. "Oh, you're studying music? How whimsical. And what do you plan to do with that, dear?" The word dear always felt like a slap. She'd suggest restaurants she knew I couldn't afford, mention family traditions I'd never be part of, talk about Marcus's future with someone suitable, as if I weren't sitting right there. But Marcus said he loved me. He said his mother would come around. He said we'd make it work. Until the day he sat me down in a coffee shop, somewhere public where I couldn't make a scene, and told me he'd met someone else. Someone his family approved of. Someone who fit better with his lifestyle and his future. Her name was Vanessa. She was everything I wasn't. Legacy money, Ivy League connections, a last name that opened doors. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. He just said, "You have to understand, this is what's best for everyone." As if breaking my heart was some kind of civic duty. I spent months after that feeling like maybe they were right. Maybe I really didn't belong in spaces like that. Maybe girls like me were supposed to know our place and stay there. But anger is a funny thing. It can either destroy you or forge you into something stronger. I chose the latter. I threw myself into my music with a fury I didn't know I possessed. Every rejection from Marcus's world became fuel. Every condescending comment from his mother became a reason to prove them all wrong. I graduated with honors, moved to Nashville, then LA, sleeping on couches and playing every dive bar and open mic that would have me. I wrote songs about heartbreak and resilience, about being underestimated and overlooked. And slowly, painfully, those songs found an audience. My breakthrough came 3 years after the breakup. One of my songs got picked up by a major artist, then another and another. Suddenly, I was the songwriter everyone wanted. The girl who couldn't afford the fancy restaurants was now being flown first class to writing sessions in New York and London. I started performing my own music too, building a following of people who connected with stories about not fitting in, about being told you're not enough, and proving them wrong anyway. The money followed, more than I ever imagined. I bought my parents a house, paid off their debts. And I did something else, something that felt like reclaiming a piece of my past. I bought the Rosewood estate, the very venue where I'd once served champagne while rich people ignored my existence. The place where Marcus and I had first met. It needed renovations, updates, but I saw potential in it. I turned it into something spectacular, a destination venue that attracted high-society weddings from across the country. The irony wasn't lost on me. So when the booking came through for the Whitmore Reynolds wedding, I didn't immediately connect the dots. My event coordinator handled most of the client interactions. It wasn't until a week before the wedding, when I was reviewing final details, that I saw the groom's full name, Marcus James Whitmore. My Marcus. My ex who'd shatter my heart because I wasn't good enough for his world. My first instinct was to cancel, to claim a scheduling conflict, refund their deposit, and avoid the whole situation. But then I thought about that girl carrying champagne trays, the girl his mother had looked through like she was invisible, the girl Marcus had discarded for someone more suitable. And I thought, no, I've earned my place here. This is my venue, my business, my success story. I decided to attend professionally, to oversee the event as I did with all our major weddings. I wouldn't hide. I wouldn't shrink. I would show up as the owner, the boss, the woman who'd turned her pain into power. The wedding day arrived, and the rosewood looked absolutely stunning. My team had outdone themselves with the floral arrangements, the lighting, the setup. Everything was perfect. I arrived early, dressed impeccably in a designer suit that cost more than my entire wardrobe from 5 years ago, my hair and makeup flawless. I looked like I belonged, because I did. This was my house. The guests started arriving, and I recognized so many faces from Marcus's world. The same people who'd looked past me at parties, who'd made small talk without ever asking about my life, who'd treated me like decorative furniture. Now they were in my venue, surrounded by my success, and they had no idea. Then I saw her. Patricia, Marcus's mother, gliding through my ballroom like she owned it, her head held high, her designer dress probably costing more than most people's monthly rent. She was greeting guests, playing the gracious mother of the groom, accepting compliments about the venue without knowing who actually owned it. Our eyes met across the room, and I saw the recognition flicker across her face, followed quickly by confusion, then disdain. She excused herself from her conversation and made her way toward me, her expression hardening with each step. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice low but sharp. "This is a private event." "I'm aware," I said calmly. "I'm here in a professional capacity." Her eyes narrowed. "Professional? Are you catering?" The way she said catering made it sound like a disease. "Not exactly," I replied, but before I could explain, she cut me off. She leaned in close, and I smelled that same expensive perfume she'd always worn, the one that used to make me feel inadequate. Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. "You don't belong here, dear. You never did. I don't know who let you in, but I suggest you leave before I have security remove you. This is my son's wedding, and I won't have it ruined by his unfortunate past." The words hit exactly as she intended. For a split second, I was that young girl again, holding trays of champagne, feeling small and worthless. But only for a second. Before I could respond, my event coordinator rushed up, oblivious to the tension. "Ms. Rivera, sorry to interrupt, but they're ready for you to make the welcome announcement. The sound system is all set up on stage." Patricia's face went confused. "Welcome announcement? What is she talking about?" My coordinator looked between us, sensing she'd walked into something awkward. Ms. Rivera is the owner. She always welcomes guests at our premier events. It's part of our signature service." I watched Patricia's face transform through a series of expressions: confusion, disbelief, horror, and finally, a desperate attempt to maintain composure. "Owner," she repeated weakly. "Yes," I said simply. "I own the Rosewood estate. Have for 2 years now. Your son is getting married in my venue." The color drained from her face, but I didn't wait for her response. I had an announcement to make. I walked toward the stage, my heels clicking confidently against the floor I owned. The guests were all seated now, the ceremony about to begin. Marcus stood at the altar in his tuxedo, handsome as ever. Vanessa beside him in an elaborate white gown. He hadn't seen me yet. He was looking at Vanessa, smiling that smile I used to think was meant only for me. The wedding planner gave me the signal, and I stepped onto the stage. The microphone was already live, and as I cleared my throat, the room fell silent. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me, including Marcus's. I will never forget the look on his face when he recognized me. The smile froze. The color drained from his cheeks. His eyes went wide with shock and something that looked almost like fear. He glanced quickly at his mother, who stood rigid near the front row, her hands clutched together so tightly her knuckles were white. "Good evening, everyone," I began, my voice steady and warm through the speakers. "For those who don't know me, my name is Sofia Rivera, and I'm the owner of the Rosewood Estate. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you here tonight for this beautiful celebration." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some people were clearly confused. Others were starting to put the pieces together. I could see recognition dawning on faces, the mental math being calculated. That name, Sofia. Wait, wasn't that? I continued smoothly. When I bought this venue 2 years ago, I fell in love with its history, its elegance, and its potential to be the backdrop for life's most important moments. I'd actually been here many years before, though in a very different capacity. I was a server here, working my way through music school, dreaming of a future that felt impossibly far away. Marcus looked like he might be sick. Vanessa was glancing between me and him, clearly lost. I'm honored that the Rosewood has become one of the most sought-after venues in the state. We've hosted governors, celebrities, and countless couples beginning their lives together. But what means the most to me is that this place, where I once felt invisible, now bears my name above the door. Where I once served champagne to people who looked right through me, I now welcome guests as equals. The room was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Tonight is about celebrating love, commitment, and new beginnings. And I believe in all of those things, perhaps more than most, because I know what it's like to be told you're not enough, to be deemed unsuitable, to be discarded for someone who fits better. I know what it's like to be told you don't belong. Patricia had sat down now, her face buried in her hands. Marcus couldn't look at me. But I wasn't doing this for revenge, not really. I was doing it for that girl carrying champagne. For everyone who'd ever been made to feel less than. But here's what I've learned. Belonging isn't something someone else grants you. It's something you create for yourself. It's built on your work, your resilience, your refusal to accept someone else's narrow definition of your worth. So to everyone here tonight, especially those who've ever been told they don't belong, I want you to know that you do. You belong wherever you decide you belong. I paused, letting that sink in. Now, with that said, let's celebrate this beautiful couple. Marcus and Vanessa, congratulations on your wedding. May your marriage be built on honesty, respect, and the courage to see each other's true worth. Thank you all for being here, and please enjoy the evening at the Rosewood Estate. The applause started slowly, then built. Some people were clapping enthusiastically, genuinely moved. Others clapped awkwardly, uncomfortable with the subtext they'd just witnessed. Marcus managed a stiff nod in my direction, but he couldn't meet my eyes. Vanessa looked confused but smiled politely. Patricia remained seated, looking like she'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I stepped down from the stage and made my way toward the exit. My job was done. I'd shown up, owned my space, and spoken my truth. I didn't need to stay for the reception. As I reached the ballroom doors, someone called my name. I turned to find Marcus's younger sister, Emma, hurrying toward me. She'd always been kind to me, one of the few members of his family who'd treated me like a person. "Sofia, wait," she said breathlessly. God, that was incredible. I'm so sorry for how they treated you. How my mother treated you. You deserved so much better.
I smiled her, genuinely grateful.
Thank you, Emma. That means a lot. For what it's worth, she added quietly, Marcus knows he made a mistake. He's never been the same since you left. Vanessa's nice enough, but she's not you. She doesn't challenge him or push him to be better. She just agrees with whatever he and my mother want. That's probably why he chose her, I said without malice. It's easier that way. Emma hugged me goodbye, and I left the Rosewood Estate, the venue I owned, the place I'd transformed from a symbol of my inadequacy into proof of my worth. My phone buzzed in my car. It was a text from my event coordinator. The mother of the groom asked if she could speak with you. I told her you'd already left. She looked devastated. What happened? I typed back. Just old history being put to rest. Make sure everything runs smoothly for them. They paid for a perfect wedding, and that's what they'll get. Because that's the thing about real success, real belonging. It's not about revenge or making others feel small. It's about rising so far above the old wounds that they can't touch you anymore. It's about being so secure in who you've become that you don't need validation from the people who rejected you. I drove home that night to my beautiful house overlooking the city, the one I'd bought with money I'd earned from my music, from my venue, from betting on myself when no one else would. I poured a glass of wine, sat on my balcony, and thought about that girl serving champagne, the one who'd believed she wasn't enough. And I wished I could go back and tell her, "You are enough. More than enough. And one day, you won't just belong in those spaces. You'll own them." The next morning, I woke up to dozens of messages. Apparently, my speech had made an impression. Several guests had looked me up, found my music, and were sharing it on social media. My song streams had spiked overnight. But the message that stood out was from an unknown number. "Sophia, this is Marcus.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm sorry seems inadequate for everything. You were always remarkable, and I was too blind and too cowardly to fight for you. Seeing you last night, seeing what you've become, it made me realize what I gave up. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you were right to walk away from me. You deserved better then, and you clearly found it. I hope you're happy. I really do." I read it twice, then deleted it. Some chapters close, and there's no need to reread them. Instead, I opened my notes app and started writing a new song. It was about a girl who was told she didn't belong, who believed it for a while, and then decided to build her own table. By the time I finished my coffee, I had the chorus down, and it felt like truth. Funny how life proves who truly belongs. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been made to feel like you don't belong, or if you've overcome someone else's limitations to build your own success, please share this video. Let's remind each other that our worth isn't determined by those who can't see it. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me about a time you proved someone wrong, and subscribe to this channel for more stories about resilience, redemption, and refusing to stay small. Your support means everything, and together, we're building a community of people who know they belong. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go out there and write your own.